Otto von Edgerel, Marquis of the Borderlands, says that today the boy turned 15 years old and congratulates him on his coming of age. Rondo confirms this and thanks him. The man says the boy will die today and orders him to drink this poison. Rondo responds with a question. Someone opens the door, which creaks, and behind it you can see a cell with bars. Mr. Felix asks the guard how this guy is doing. The knight reports that everything was reported on the orders of Lord Liar. The man reports that his younger brother, Mr. Rond von Edgerel, poisoned himself and committed suicide. The gentleman says not to call him gentleman. The man is lying on the floor. The guy says this trash is not part of the Edgerel family. It is reported to be the house of the Marquis of Eduarl in the kingdom of Jugdia, Al Region, Mariella County. The guy says it looks like his life will end here. Rondo reveals that he is only 15 years old and has never even gone out with a girl. Rondo says the drink contains wine and poison and asks if he will drink it and die. The boy ponders how and why this happened and explains that he was doomed to this from birth. He explains that in this country, two things are important to a nobleman: birth and magical talent. Rondo says that his mother was the concubine of the Marquis Eduarl and a servant in this house, and that he was born into a noble family, but as an illegitimate child and unwanted from the very beginning. The boy reports that a water magic mark has appeared on Mr. Femix's body. The man explains that he has an older brother and sister. The man explains that they were also gifted with magical talent. The boy says his magical power is a kindred law. The inspector of magical attributes says he'll now check the method for determining magical abilities. The man explains that there are two ways to determine magical talent. The first is divine revelation, a magical sign. He explains that those with an extremely high predisposition to one of the four elements, fire, wind, water, or earth, have a corresponding sign on their body. The man reports that the boy has no magical sign anywhere, but this is expected, as magical signs are only given to a select few. He explains that this is why the second method, which determines the abilities of the majority, is used, and in the boy's case, it's probably a waste of time. The man explains that you should first hold your hand to the flame, and if you don't feel any heat, it means you're predisposed to fire magic. The guy listens and raises his hand to the candle flame. Rondo says it's hot, but the man says he doesn't have a fiery predisposition. The man explains that this is how they test compatibility with the four elements, and it's a related law, after which he announces that they're finishing with the remaining three elements. The guy says he got burned. Rond von Edgerel reports that he has no predisposition to any of the four elements. A man kicks a man who tries to grab his arm. The guy says that Edgerel is a loser and not from the Edgerel family at all. The boy says that they don't dare sit at the same table with them. The man says that this is a disgrace to the Marquis's house. He explains that a fool does not know how to use magic and is dirty. The woman says she's sick of eating with her boyfriend in the same room. Rondo says he was born unwanted and had no place in this world, was forbidden from leaving the house, and his birth was kept secret. Person who does not exist. The man reports that he was not killed and was allowed to live, and he thought it was his father's kindness. As long as his father, the head of this house, showed him mercy, he hoped that one day he would be accepted into the family. Rondo reports that this faint hope sustained him for 15 years, and he endured, despite contempt, hatred, and disgust. The answer was poison. The guy says he can't believe it happened. The man reports that his father had no mercy. The man says that the Marquis of the Borderlands could not kill a relative, even an illegitimate one, since it would be a disgrace, and reports that his father simply wanted him to commit suicide of his own free will when he reached adulthood. The guy says that for 15 years he was kept in this house like cattle, only for the sake of noble pride and reputation, and at the same time he utters a curse. The man says, "Damn." Then the man holds up a cup of trembling liquid. Rondo says it wasn't poison and laughs. He reports that nothing is happening. The guy suddenly opens his eyes. The guy is breathing heavily and says it's hot. Rondo says it's hot and painful, his back is burning, and now it's itchy. The guy says he can't afford to die here. Completed weakening poison is now available. The boy thinks about poison and magic. The man reports that a water magic mark has appeared on Mr. Felix's body. A man takes off his jacket. The guy takes off his clothes, revealing a glowing pattern on his back. The guy says it is. The guy says it's a magic sign. The guy says that for some reason there is poisonous magic on his body. The boy says that the first step to mastering magic is contact with it, and explains that the kinship law cannot reveal magical abilities outside of the 4 elements. The boy says that he has a predisposition to poison, and he would not have known about it if he had not drunk the poison, and he associates the poisoning with gratitude to his father for this choice, noting that he was not burned or shot. The boy says his life isn't over yet. He says he doesn't have time and doesn't know when the guards will come to check his body, and asks how he can escape now. The boy explains that even if he manages to defeat the guards, the estate is full of patrolling guards. The guy says that if he is noticed, the entire Edgeril family will come to kill him, and that everyone in the Edgeril family is a genius of magic, and in a fight he will be killed instantly. Rondo explains that even with poison magic, he can only use a slow-acting weakening poison, and that he won't be able to deal with them. He explains that it's useless. He sees no way to escape. The guy says that if he can't escape, he'll leave the premises openly, but he doesn't know if that will work. Rondo says this is his only chance and tells him he has to take it now. The guy says he's not going to give up. The guy says he thought he would pretend to drink the poison and try to escape, but he missed. Felix von Edgeril reports that the dirty blood that has disgraced the House of Edgeril has finally disappeared. The man says that he cannot die because he is immortal. The guy says that for someone who died in agony, his face is too calm, and it's irritating. He says that he's not pretending to be dead. Water magic blade gun. The man lies on the floor with multiple wounds and blood. His hand is bleeding. The guy reports that there are no changes and says that it looks like he really is dead. One of the knights says to take the body to the common cemetery along with the ashes of his mother, whom he calls bad, and throw them away together, to which the other knight agrees. The man says that the bloody corpse cannot be allowed to stain the entire house. The man says that, as disgusting as it is, he'll have to heal it. The man begins to heal the arm, which gradually recovers. The man says that now it's time to drag it. Another man confirms this. The guy says it's time to get back to business, and then reveals that being the next head of the house isn't that easy. The man explains that there is still a road from the carriage stand to the cemetery, and the man says that they will leave him here for now and says that it will do here. The man says he doesn't think anyone will come to say goodbye. But those are the rules. He says they'll come back in 3 or 4 days and bury him. The man explains that's enough for now. It's dark and creepy here, and suggests they go back. The guy says that Felix promised a reward, so they'll go have a drink. The guy says that he is not afraid of death and that death is not the end, but the beginning of something new. The eye watches movement under the veil. Then a grave cross appears, and the man speaks. Rondo reports that he has been saved. A boy looks at his hand, where small glowing particles appear, and smiles as he watches them. He then stands by the fence, holding the particles in his palm. The guy says that if he can't escape, he will leave the premises openly. The guy says he can activate the weakening poison. He then explains that he didn't know how effective it would be, but he managed to put himself into a state of apparent death. The guy says that, as planned, he got out of the estate. Rondo says the opportunity to leave with his mother was a pleasant surprise for him. The boy reports that he made it out of the estate alive and wonders what to do next. He explains that to survive, he needs to understand how poison magic works. Rondo says he can't stay here for that because if they find out he's alive, they'll definitely kill him. He says he'll first leave Lyre's domain, ruled by Kadjit, and if he reaches the lands of Astasia by the sea, he'll be able to sail even further. The boy announces that the course is south and the decision has been made. Rondo says he's leaving, turning to his mother. Rondo declares that he will survive. The guy says that you need to master poisonous magic without getting caught by the Marquis's house, and head to Astasia. The woman announces that Marie von Astasif, daughter of the Duke of Astasia, will die here. Marie von Astasif says why her, and orders them to stop. The guy says it's a paralyzing mushroom and if you eat it, you definitely won't die. The guy is breathing heavily. The guy says that, as expected, he hears the voice of heaven, and explains that when poison enters the body. He says that apparently, when the poison is neutralized in the body, it is analyzed and becomes available as poisonous magic. The wolf growls, approaching the boy, who is lying on the ground and looking at him in horror. The boy repeats the words about neutralization to himself. The guy says his body is still paralyzed and he can't move, and that he was careless and should have taken better care of himself. He screams that he can't make it and demands that they neutralize him quickly. The wolf falls silent when its mouth is close to the head of the boy lying on the ground. The guy makes a sound of surprise. The wolf makes a sound by clenching its jaws. A bloody serpent is depicted biting a two-headed beast. The man says that the right head secretes a deadly venom, weakening the prey, while the left one drinks its blood. The man reports that the neutralization is complete and the paralyzing venom is available. The guy says this is the end. Rondo explains that the very venom that can kill a Vendian wolf is worth obtaining, and considering the future, he'll need a venom capable of delivering a fatal blow. The boy explains that being bitten is unavoidable. Rondo says the paralyzing poison he just mastered will be able to stop the enemy's movements if he manages to extract the poison in time and take it in a safe place. He advises that in any case, there's nowhere to retreat and they must act. The woman informs him that the capital of the Duchy of Astasia is Krynoth and asks if the man has a silver coin for registering as an adventurer. The man replies that he does. The girl reports that she's checked and returns the tablet. Rondog thanks her and confirms that he'd like to change his name to protect his identity, but since his name is associated with a spiritual tablet at the temple, a pseudonym won't work. Rondo explains that in this world, the name Rondo appears everywhere, and says that only the name is written down so no one will guess that he is from the house of Eduarl. The girl asks Rondo what class he will choose, and Rondo says that he is a ranger and specializes in skills related to the use of poisons. The girl says it's rare. He asks if it's true and explains that he can't say he's a poisonous mage because it's too obvious. The girl says that now is the time to make money, and the guy asks if he is serious. The girl reports that the prices for purchasing poisonous herbs and antidotes have risen sharply, and if it is an antidote that is not available in the duchy, they will pay very handsomely for it. Rhonda asks why this is so. The girl explains that this is a separate story. The girl apologizes and Rondo says that if he becomes too famous, it will be his problem. The boy explains that he needs a poison powerful enough to fight back if he encounters someone from House Edward in battle, and in the meantime, he'll be quietly collecting poisons. The man says the duchy is a godsend, and just bring the poisons and you'll get paid. It couldn't be simpler. The guy explains that it's understandable why the receptionist hesitated. It has something to do with the Duke. The girl explains that that's a separate story. The man apologizes. A man asks if he could tell him more about poisons. A man with an eye patch responds by asking what he needs. The man reports the following. Fall says he thinks they could be fooled that easily and asks if this is just a regular sleeping pill. Land says this one has already been taken and suggests they come back later. Land calls them scammers and says this is the last one, and another soldier tells Land to let him through. The man says they'll have to look for other healers, but there are no healers in their lands who can help. He says there are over 100 people and not a single normal one. The knight says they need someone more famous. The man with glasses says they're already looking, but it'll take at least a month to get there from other lands. The knight explains that the Princess Lily will be able to hold out that long. The man informs him that the latter is a certain Rond, a poison master, a new adventurer in this city, and he is said to be well versed in poisons. The woman explains that one shouldn't expect much, as he probably brought some kind of aspirin tincture. Ron says that a man reports that the Duke's daughter has been poisoned and her condition is worsening, and the Duke is desperately searching for a cure or an item to save her. The guy says that to hide from the House of Edward, it is best to hide under someone's protection, and if he cures the daughter of the Duke Astasia, perhaps the Duke will help him. The boy says he has a question. The information he provides is a deadly poison that could destroy him if it isn't kept secret, and asks if he can count on the ducal house's protection if he can cure the Duke's daughter. The man explains he can't promise anything, but his love for the child. The guy says he's in pain. The man says he was just fine and asks what's going on. The guy says he saw the man do something and asks what it was. The boy asks the armored man what his goal is, and he replies that he doesn't know what his trick is. But if he wants to sell poison, he'll buy it. The armored man says that after such a suspicious trick, he won't let the boy see the princess and considers it impossible. The boy explains. Yuta says, "Is anyone ready?" The guy says everything's fine. The man says Fall is putting on airs again and offers to show him the sign, asking if he minds. The bearded man explains they're not bandits to look at things like that. The man with glasses says it's a magical sign, but he's never heard of a dragon form. The boy announces that he is using the antidote magic, weakening poison. A man and a woman watch the scene unfold. The man asks if the dragon's face moved. The boy explains that he has a non-magical system and wants to be of use as soon as possible. So he asks permission to meet with the Duke. The tied-up man says he was saved and thought he was going to die. Another man and woman comment. Thadden von Astasia reports that the magical sign has a dragon shape, as reported. The man says he heard the other man wields poison magic and asks for more details. The man explains that he can control the poison he once ingested and is able to neutralize the poisons he's mastered. The man asks if he were to ingest the poison, would he be able to cure Marie, and explains. The Duke says there's uncertainty, but since other healers are unreliable, he's considering it. The boy says that's exactly it and confirms that he wants protection for their home. The Duke asks if that's really what he wants. The boy says he'll allow himself to openly reveal who he is, despite the impudence. The man explains that it's clear that he not only possesses a non-magical system, but is also a member of the Marquis Eduarle's household. The guy says he's asking to take on the risk of feuding with the Eduarle family. The guy says that if he's rejected, it will be bad. Then he explains that he only needs temporary shelter, and as soon as he gains strength, he'll leave the country to avoid causing trouble. The man thinks and says, The guy asks if he answered correctly, and that one wrong step and he could be handed over to Eduarle's house. The boy thinks he might even be executed as a dangerous carrier of poisonous magic. The man says he'll take care of the boy and says it's a good thing. Ron says that he is probably the only one who can save his daughter and asks him to cure Marie. The guy says he will do his best. The man reports that this is the knife that was used to attack Mrs. Marie. The man says the poison on the blade is high, but still there, and the boy understands this. The boy explains that he'll take the poison the usual way first, will likely pass out, and would be grateful if he were carried to bed. The man says not to worry, there is a guest room for the guy, will put it there. The guy says that this poison, which no one has been able to neutralize, raises doubts about the safety of its use, and says that when he took the venom of the blood snake and mastered the deadly poison, it was very painful. The guy says he doesn't know what level of poison his body can withstand, so taking a powerful poison is always a risk. The guy says that if he's wielding this knife many times more powerful than the deadly one, he could die before he can neutralize it. He explains that if he retreats now, no bright future awaits him. The guy explains that the knife is from Eduarle's house, his father and Felix's, and the guy says he came here to become free. The man says that Rhonda. The upper right panel shows a knife falling to the floor. The man falls backward, clutching his throat. The text reports the neutralization of the poison in the body. The guy screams in pain or fear. The man says everything is fine, but he's breathing heavily. The man repeats about neutralization. The man makes an ear noise. The other man coughs and asks Rhonda if he's okay. A guy falls to the floor, breaking dishes, and screams. The guy tries to reach something on the floor and makes sounds of pain. The man screams. The guy says ha. The man grabs something from the floor. The guy is breathing heavily. Then the man in armor is also breathing heavily and telling Rhonda to hold on. The word neutralization is repeated. It is reported that the poison has been neutralized, the beautiful wedding skill has been released, and the target's condition is now available for analysis. The guy says that he has mastered powerful offensive magic of the poison type, uses healing with weak poison, and the poison has become available for use. Then he says what kind of disgusting poison was brought to kill the Duke's daughter. The guy says this poison is from a dragon species that only appears once every few years. The boy says it was dangerous, as a dragon is a special kind of monster that no one has ever defeated, and the power of such a creature's venom is on a completely different level. One wrong step could lead to death. Then the boy reports that he survived again. He explains that his body is still shaking and says that the man says that Rhonda has woken up, and Rhonda says Landasan. The guy says he needs to go to the mistress quickly, and the woman says he slept for quite a long time. The guy reports that the poison was much stronger than he expected. The man says it's been 3 days. Henry asks if the guy can neutralize the poison, to which the guy replies that no problem. The man says he is a poison specialist and their last hope, and asks them to do everything in their power. The guy tells them to expect good results. The man and the guy walk across the room. The man tells Marie to hold on a little longer and tells her that he is counting on her, and also warns that if she makes any suspicious movements, he will mercilessly use magic. The guy says he'll keep it in mind. Then he apologizes. The guy says that if she doesn't wake up, he'll wait for her here. The girl says she can't wake up. Marie is under the influence of a weak poison. Her health is 5 out of 43 points. The boy sees the girl's status and explains that her body is shrouded in an orange light, which must be a dragon skill acquired from the poison. He explains that she has been given gradual healing magic to prolong her life, but in this state, she won't last long and will definitely die. The guy says he won't allow it. The guy explains that the poison on that knife was from a dragon species called the purple dragon, and only the poison of a green dragon can neutralize it. Creating an antidote for the purple dragon, which no one has yet defeated, is theoretically impossible, but he will do it now. The guy reports that energy flows through his body like a river. The man reacts to this. The guy looks at his hand. The man says that there is a lot of magical power there. Then the man puts his hand on the guy's hand, surrounding them with a magical ring. A guy uses the antidote magic dragon's poison on a girl lying in bed. The boy says he can't fight anymore. The girl explains that if he can't get up, they'll lose. The boy says he doesn't want to lose. The girl explains she has a plan and asks him to hold on. The boy says that one neutralization took more than half of his magical power, and if he invests any more magic to enhance the effect, he will begin to experience magical exhaustion, but he can't fail here. The girl says she will invest all her magical power to save her. A man shouts at Marie. Marie says she's absorbing all the magic. Then the magic is shown being absorbed. The man stands in the room, and Marie is crouched by the bed. The guy asks about her health. The man reports that her condition has improved. Marie is lying in bed, and her health is stated to be excellent, 17 of 43. The guy says he's managed to cure the girl. The man clasps his hands tightly and says, The man holds the hand of the girl lying in bed. The girl talks about her father. The man says that everything worked out and turns to Marie. Marie looks away. The girl says she can't believe he actually came. The guy says he came to pick her up. Ron thanks his interlocutor and informs him that he will now live here as an honored guest. The young man thanks the Duke. The man explains that an honored guest is something like a guest, received as a sage or warrior, and if one is to receive protection, it's best to be transparent. The man explains that if they act openly, the Marquis Edouard's house will be destroyed. The man says he wants to welcome the boy as an honored guest and asks him to do something, explaining that the boy can live freely and relaxed, but must find those who organized the assassination attempt on Marie. The man explains that this will be the boy's mission as an honored guest, who can move freely. A woman asks another woman if the Duke is the guest of honor and says it's the first time the Duke has ever had anyone as a guest. The man says that's easy to say and that he's so sleepy, then asks Rhonda not to be such a slob. The guy standing by the window says he's bored. The girl says she will become stronger, and the boy says he will protect the lady. The girl says she can't understand why he did this, explaining that it was unexpected and strange. She says she now needs to figure out the situation and what to do next. The boy says it's no wonder the villa of the Duke's House of Astasia is so luxurious. The girl says it's time to begin magical training. She explains there's a suitable place behind the estate and suggests they go there, to which the boy agrees. The man says that here you can practice magic to the fullest without fear of prying eyes. The girl asks Rond if he will show her his magic, and Rond says that he understands. The guy explains that it is a deadly poison, talks about its spherical shape, and says that it has a lot of magical power, after which he points his hand at the ground, causing a dark magical spot. The guy uses the poisonous magic spell, Blast Dragon. The girl says it's incredibly powerful. The guy explains that it's a rather sinister magic, which not only deals a powerful magical attack but also spreads poison around it when it hits, and says that you definitely can't practice it in the manner. The girl explains that it seems the magic dissolves objects, and if they were in the manner, the floor would definitely be destroyed. The girl says okay and offers to do whatever you want to the fullest. A guy throws a magic projectile. A man explains it's a spell. A girl says it won't do any harm. The boy says he will become stronger and protect the lady. The girl listens. Rond asks what happened, Ms. Marie. Marie explains that nothing happened, and Rond wonders if she's run out of magic after casting 10 spells. Marie says she can still continue. The guy explains that strong poisons take a lot of energy, and the ones he's currently using are weak poisons. The girl asks what weak poisons are. The girl explains that they don't usually use that much magic, and even 10 fireballs would cause magical exhaustion. Yuta says he has a large reserve of magical power. The guy reports a supply of magic and talks about a water ball. The girl tells her brother to let her try it. The man says, "Bravo." The man says, "It's a hit." The guy thinks what if he had magical talent too. The girl asks what would happen if he used the most powerful poison. The guy says he hasn't tried it, so he doesn't know. Then the guy asks if he can try. After that, the guy starts using magic on the tree, while the girl sits in a wheelchair and watches. The guy says he's not the same person he used to be. The guy reports that with the strongest poison magic, dragon poison, in his hands, he activates the poisonous dragon magic called Purple Dragon. A dragon appears. A man shouts to go forward. A girl watches with wide eyes. A man reports that a crack has appeared in the forest, widening and threatening to engulf everything around it, and explains that if it reaches the village, everything will be destroyed. The man says they urgently need to find a way to stop the crack, otherwise the consequences will be catastrophic. The guy says he can't believe the girl actually said that and says he's very happy. The girl explains that she's also very happy and that it was unexpected for her. The guy says he'll make sure no one can defeat him. The girl says that with such strength, he seems invincible. The guy says there's nothing in the forest except trees and grass. The boy says he needs to test the poisonous magic further. The girl says there are monsters far from the villa, so he needs to be careful. The boy understands and says he'll go soon. The guy says that Marie claims that he can defeat anyone, but it is not that simple, and if someone who is able to pay an astronomical sum hired an assassin, then it will be a formidable opponent because the purple dragon's poison is available only to a few of the upper class. Gilgamesh says that if people from the house of Eduarl find him, he will have to fight his brother and sister, and that they will not give him time to use a powerful spell like the purple dragon venom. The guy says you need to better understand the nature of your magic and learn to control it. He says this requires practice. 3 goblins in excellent health with varying HP. Prepare for battle. The guy says it's a poison ball with a weakening poison effect. He then explains that one goblin's health has been reduced by 9 and has become poisoned, while this goblin has 3 of 12 health points remaining. Another goblin with a club has 1 of 12 health points, and the guy reports that the damage rate is approximately 1 HP per second, and the poison effect gradually reduces HP until death. He explains that the goblin is dead with 0 out of 12 health. The guy releases a poison ball called Weakening Poison. The goblin reports that his health is on the verge of death, with 3 out of 12 points remaining. The man says his health has decreased this time, but there's no poisoning. The guy explains that the poison ball deals physical damage on impact, and the poisoning as an additional effect occurs randomly, after which the goblin dies, his health becomes 0. The guy says he'll try a different type of poison now. He explains that the poison ball is a paralyzing poison, and the effect of a paralyzing poison is paralysis. It's noted that the goblin's health status is paralysis, he can't act, and he has 7 out of 15 health points. The guy says that it looks like. The guy reports that it's a deadly poison. The text explains that the goblin's health status is paralyzed. He can't act, and he has 2 of his 15 health points remaining. The goblin is dead, his health is 0. The man says there are 2 ways to poison an enemy: remote and direct contact. The guy explains that the ranged attack deals physical damage, but the poison effect is random, and direct contact is risky, but the poison is guaranteed to work. The guy tells Ms. Marie. A masked man with a sword strikes a knight, who screams in pain, while a woman watches the fight. The masked man continues to fight the knights, one of whom falls to the ground. The girl looks forward in surprise. The masked man raises his sword to strike. The masked man jumps toward the girl in the wheelchair. The man informs her that Marie von Astasia, daughter of the ducal house of Astasia, will die here. Marie asks why her. The girl screams. The man says he's using poisonous dragon magic called explosive dragon. A man makes a sound of pain. The boy addresses Mrs. Marie. The girl responds to his words, and in the distance, dark figures with long hair appear, raising their hands. The guy says he will protect her. The man screams. Against the backdrop of mountains and forest, something crashes into the ground with force, causing an explosion and clouds of smoke. The guy is breathing heavily, standing on the ground with large dents and cracks in which lie the dead Sewell, Tensor, and another man with a health condition of dead, HP 0. The girl looks on with wide-open eyes and beads of sweat on her face. The girl closes her eyes. The man places his hand on the girl's hand. The man squeezes the girl's hand. Rond says everything is fine and that he will protect Ms. Marie. Marie calls Rond by name. The guy says he saved him again and says he owes him a huge debt. The woman thanks Rhonda, and he tells her that she is safe with him. The man announces the name Dancer Tensor, and explains that these are most likely the Connie brothers. The guy asks if they are known in certain circles, and the man says yes, especially among contract killers. The man says they're ruthless, willing to hack even a baby to death, and highly stealthy, and that if it weren't for Rond, it would be dangerous. The guy listens. The man says that if someone was able to hire these 3, the suspect pool is greatly narrowed, and that they are safe. The guy says he's glad he could help. The man explains that he's indebted again, and even if the guy stops being the guest of honor and leaves, he'll prepare a sufficient amount. The man says there's no need to worry, and Reiji asks what that means. The man reports that his intelligence network has found no pursuers or signs that Eduard's house is actively searching for anything. The guy reports that in the Marquis's house they seem to believe that he committed suicide by taking poison. The guy says that if he keeps quiet, he won't be discovered. The man asks if that's true. The guy says that's great. He won't have to look back anymore, and that he's finally free. But he explains that if he leaves the Duke's house now, the girl looks at him silently, placing her hand on her chest. The guy says he can stay here. The man says that, frankly, because of Maria, he himself would like to ask for it. The guy says he's been thinking about this too, and wants to protect Ms. Marie until the problem is resolved. The man explains that after the Connie brothers' attack, they decided to add another bodyguard to better protect Marie, and now the guy, along with Amanda, a female knight, will be guarding Marie. The guy says the woman is a knight. Herman says that even though she is a woman, her skill is undeniable. She is one of the 3 strongest in their knightly order, and her character is a bit harsh, but she should be able to work well with the guy. The boy screams when he collides with the spear. The boy falls to the ground. The woman says that, as expected, these are empty words and tightens the straps on her leg. The boy says that the woman is going to protect the mistress with this. Amanda Magnaria informs the person who is serious about protecting someone that they must kill her. The text in the box indicates that this is the Knight of Sia. Amanda Magnaria. The boy says it's sheer madness and he can't kill a prominent member of the Duke's knightly order who has sheltered him. The man explains that, by order of his grace, he is, from today, Lady Marie's personal bodyguard and calls himself Amanda Magnaria. He also reveals that Rhonda says his name is Rhonda and asks if that's true. The man says the Duke has tasked them with guarding Madame Marie together and is pleased to meet him. The woman says you, and then explains that when Mrs. Marie was attacked at the villa by Connie's brothers, he was not there and asks why. The guy says they went to the villa to practice magic, and he wanted to test out a spell by going into an area with monsters. The girl asks if this means the guy put his magic training above Ms. Marie's safety. The guy explains that he thought it wasn't worth it. The woman reports being attacked at that moment and says the man didn't even consider the possibility. The man remains silent and then says he was careless. The guy says he was just an honorary guest at the time, so what? The woman yells that he's a guest and reminds him that he promised to protect Madame Marie. The boy says he will become stronger and protect the lady. The boy explains that everything is fine and he will protect Lady Marie. The woman explains that the most dangerous thing about carrying out a mission, protecting, means putting your life on the line, and asks the man if he has that kind of resolve. The man remains silent. The woman says that you can't act with someone who lacks determination. The woman says she will test the interlocutor's suitability to protect Mrs. Marie, as well as his skills and determination. The woman says she uses fire magic. Explosion. The guy says she also has magic and considers it dangerous if something like that hits. A boy screams in pain as something powerful explodes next to him. The woman says that this is a training ground for a knightly order, so there's no need to hold back. Then the woman notices something. The woman says that she is casting an attribute, and the man explains that it is a poisonous ball called deadly poison. The woman delivers a powerful blow with a fiery fighting staff. The boy reports that the spell has been neutralized. The woman asks what happened. The woman says that's it. The woman makes a sound of pain. The woman says that, but the woman says the attack is weak. The man makes sounds of pain and effort. The woman says the man's resolve is completely lacking. The man makes a pained sound as he leans on his sword. A guy says he burned something and a woman asks what he did. The boy reports that he injected the poison directly. The woman explains that he is currently infected with a deadly poison and will die in 50 seconds. The text box states that the flame crest is currently in a state of deadly poison, with health at 50 out of 85. The woman says that's what poison magic is. Yuta says he can neutralize the poison. The woman asks whether she should beg her opponent for mercy, and the man says he can't handle such poison. The man notices something and reacts with surprise. The man holds up a stone in his hand. The guy concentrates energy in his fist, preparing to attack. The guy says that the magic healing stone is a one-time item and too expensive. He sees it for the first time in real life. Amanda says, then reports that her health is excellent, and she has 85 out of 85 HP. The guy says the poison has disappeared and explains that the magic stone not only removes status effects but also restores HP, asking how much it costs. Amanda says they'll continue. The guy asks what they are doing here. The man explains that he got an injury on his shoulder. The knight on the right informs Madame Marie. The guy says they can stand. The girl explains that their legs are fine now. The girl adds that it's not important. The man says he doesn't understand how his bodyguards can quarrel with each other, and the girl explains that it's not a quarrel, but a test of resolve. The girl asks to shake hands as a sign of reconciliation. The man and the girl with the sword react questioningly. The woman says that now we need to live in harmony. She also says that they are doing well. The man and the woman look awkward, and the man and the woman shake hands. The girl responds, to which the boy and woman confirm. The man says his father wants to talk to them. The boy explains that it seems his father has figured out who was behind the assassination attempt on him. Tatsumura Shikisha reveals that he is an AI mangaka from the Sengoku era, and that as a bonus to the comic, he will secretly teach advanced drawing techniques. The man wheezes. The man reports that the inkwell is filling with ink. Then a small cat jumps from the brush into the inkwell and back again, after which the cat says, "Shoo." The guy says it's ready. Next to the QR code image, it says that's how he draws and invites people to follow him on Instagram. Rhonda B says it's gold, just like her brothers, too pretty, so it's going to be scrapped. Rhonda A says it's half gold, half black, stylish, and in the spirit of the times. Rhonda D explains that it's somehow such a classic, heroic choice. Rhonda E says it feels genuine. Marie A says the earrings are gorgeous. Marie B says they give off a strong sense of a sophisticated young lady who knows nothing about the world. Marie A explains that this version feels more assertive than Marie SS and fits her look better. Marie S says everything is beautiful and elegant. The woman says they've identified who's behind the assassination attempt on Marie. The man says the specific person hasn't been identified yet, but the main instigator is known. The girl explains that, truly, Lord Duke, who dared attack Madame Marie. The Marquis of Greenwich reports that one can only hope that this is not Lord Greenwich's own idea. A woman says Lord Greenwich is attacking a member of the ducal house. The man says that if he's not careful, it could split the kingdom. The woman asks why Lord Greenwich is doing this. The boy informs her that he too may now be under a toxic threat. The man says he's unimportant and, in case of danger, wants two people to protect Marie. The girl tells her father not to say such ominous things, and Ren asks what's going on. The man reports that a major factional struggle is currently raging in Euglia. He explains that, in short, he and Greenwich are fighting over different approaches to the same political strategy. The boy asks why he's so sure the Greenwich house is the ringleader. The man explains that this was discovered thanks to reports from their spies embedded in the enemy ranks, and adds that the knife used to first attack Marie isn't manufactured or sold in the lands of Astasia. It's a city backdrop announces that today is the day of the party. The guy says, and that it's a gift. The woman explains that it's a celebration in honor of Mrs. Marie's recovery and asks if the guy has a gift prepared. The guy explains that he has to be by her side as a bodyguard, so he doesn't have time to go shopping for gifts. The woman says she has already prepared her gift, and the guy says he doesn't understand when she managed to do it. The woman says that in Astasia, everyone is obliged to give gifts, and Mrs. Marie is looking forward to it. The man says that neglecting the holiday under the pretext of work is low, and then sighs. The guy says that even if he says that, one bodyguard will be enough until the evening party. The woman says to find something until then. The guy explains that it's easy to say what kind of gift you can give. The man says he borrowed Lan's hat to hide his face, but it only draws attention. Another man asks. The guy says that he can't compete with the nobles in price and is also inferior in appearance, and asks what to do. The seller offers the guy to try his luck and buy magic stones for just a silver coin. The guy asks about the magic stones, and the man tells the owner that there is something special among the stones. The guy says the stone is poisonous. The man asks if it's a magical stone from a poisonous dragon. The blacksmith explains that these are only stones that haven't been identified in dungeons, and with luck, maybe. He explains that there are two reasons why they can't be identified. The guy says it's a poisonous dragon's magic stone, and the man explains that if he's lucky, maybe, since the only stones here are ones that haven't been identified in dungeons. The man explains that there are two reasons why they weren't identified. Either they don't have enough magic to be useful or they contain. The man says that the hero will have S-level magic, which is wielded by great mages, in his hands, and the poisonous dragon is not just a dream. The guy says they're magic stones. The man explains that a merchant who talks about his clients quickly goes broke and can't say if anyone has ever seen anyone win. The man explains that, in other words, it's like a lottery without winning. The girl turns to the man and the guy says he'll take it and asks to show it closer, and the man offers to choose anyone. The guy says that if he can't compete on price or appearance, then a gambling gift is a good option and decides to choose a stone. The man asks which stone to choose, and the guy asks the old man to show him the stones in the box, to which the old man agrees. The guy notices that his back feels warm for a moment. The boy says he'll take the stone and give the old man a silver coin. The man asks the boy why he chose this ugly stone when there are beautiful ones. The boy explains that the stone is unsightly and was shoved into the far corner of the box, which is probably why. The guy says he looked like he didn't need anyone and that it was just like him. The guy says he needs to hurry back and says goodbye. The man laughs and says how beautiful the darkness is. The guy screams. The man puts his hand on the ground. The man says it's not the owner's fault. The guy says that he is the kind of person who loses his head when he sees something beautiful. The woman thanks everyone who came especially for the celebration in honor of her recovery and notes the incredible number of guests. The man hopes everything will be fine, but says it cannot be ruled out that among the guests is someone connected to the Edgeril house. The man says it was the right decision to wear a servant's uniform for covert security. The woman congratulates Marie and says it's a get-well gift, to which Marie replies that she's very happy. The man explains that it's difficult to stay close to Mistress Marie as a servant, but it's good that Amanda is here, and the guy says he's glad the girl came. The girl says she's glad too and asks him not to tell anyone she came. The guy says he needs to work to avoid suspicion. The guy calls out to the man. The guy apologizes and the man says the guy. The guy says nothing of the sort happened, to which the man asks if he just looked at Marie. The man explains that the guy is lowborn, almost crashed into him, and dared to fall in love with Marie, and his actions deserve 1,000 deaths. The man explains that it's a festive evening, and he's in. The guy says that he has come a long way and does not want to ruin everything with stupid actions, otherwise all his efforts will go down the drain. Randy tells Marie it's been a while, to which Marie replies that it really has been a while. The guy in the center of the stage steps forward. The boy says it seems like everything went without incident. The next panel shows a carriage with horses at the gates of the mansion, and the final panel shows a full moon in the night sky. The guy says that Mrs. Marie Sala can breathe a sigh of relief. Rond says something is wrong and turns to Mistress Marie. Marie says nothing is wrong and explains that Rond must be tired from acting as a servant and guarding her. A man thanks a girl for the wonderful party she had with Amanda, and she replies that she's welcome. She asks Rhonda if he remembers Randy, who was there earlier today, and Rhonda says he's a close friend. The girl says he is her fiancé, and the guy reacts with surprise. The girl says that although they have grown apart now, her future husband will most likely change. The guy says that's how it is and explains why he felt relieved to learn that her fiancé might change. The girl says that, nevertheless, she feels that noblemen's marriages are not free. The boy says he's lowborn, nearly ran into a man, and dared to fall in love with Marie, and the man says his actions deserve 1,000 deaths. The man explains that a man like the boy makes him feel sorry for Madame Marie, and besides, she clearly wasn't eager to communicate. The guy says that if they are going to marry her off to someone she doesn't love, he would rather take Marie for himself, but the girl remains silent. The guy says he doesn't even know what he's thinking. The girl explains that if she does that, Duke Astasia will kill her. The guy says they need to change the subject. Rhonda says the moon is beautiful. The boy and girl are surprised and ask if he really said that. Rhonda explains that the night, the moon, and looking up at the sky together is an old-fashioned confession. The girl happily says it's a 5, and the boy looks at her questioningly. The woman says she's a cunning woman and wanted to know what the other person thought of her, so she started talking about her fiancé. Against the backdrop of the moon, it's said that getting such a perfect answer. The boy says it's a gift in honor of Mrs. Marie's recovery, and explains that he thought she'd be more likely to like it. Marie says it's a magic stone. The boy thinks he said too much, and Marie falls silent. The girl says she has to go. She has cleaning to do. The guy says this with a smile. The girl says Rhonda. The girl thanks. The girl says that she is very happy and will take care of him. It is reported that several days have passed. The man says the situation is nearing its conclusion. The guy says the word denouement with a questioning intonation. The man reports that they've collected all the pieces and cards to corner the Marquis of Greenwich, and only the final move remains. The man explains that the opponent is pinned down and will likely resort to desperate tactics. The boy and the man say that if they're being told this, it means. The guy says their goal isn't to kill Marie, but to kidnap her, and that they know their purpose. The girl remains silent. The girl says that if she is married to a Greenwich, they will have a chance to reunite. The man explains that an engagement was originally planned between the Greenwich and Astasia houses, but due to political differences, he broke the agreement. The guy says it's strange that if the Greenwich's goal is to marry Astasia, why would they try to kill her? He adds that, however, It seems the Greenwiches haven't given up on the idea of marrying Marie. The man explains that he will name the prospective groom, the heir to the Marquis of Greenwich, for protection. The woman and the young man say they don't understand, but it's clear the Greenwiches are planning to kidnap Marie and arrange a political marriage. Randy von Greenwich reveals his name. The guy says he's from Greenwich. The guy explains that this disgusting fellow is the heir to the House of Greenwich and Madame Marie's fiancé, and that's why she spoke like that back then. The girl explains that although they've grown distant now, her future husband will likely change. The man explains that due to the conflict between the houses of Astasia and Green, the man reports that the likelihood of kidnapping is now high, but after the attempted murder cannot be ruled out. He advises extreme vigilance for another month. The guy says he understands and will do everything to protect Mrs. Marie. Rhonda tells Mrs. Marie that any orders she gives are only verbal. Mrs. Marie asks Rhonda what's wrong with him and what his outfit is. Rhonda explains that he's now a butler and from now on they'll be using the butler's skin strategy. The guy says that Amanda, dressed like this, is free to act as a bodyguard. Amanda asks what the butler's skin means. The guy says he'll be by Mrs. Marie's side as a butler and cover for her. The woman says he's hinting at the imperfections of her security. The guy explains that if someone puts poison in his food, he'll be better off if he's nearby. The woman says that's understandable. The girl asks if Rhonda will always be there. The woman says that in that case she likes the idea. Rhonda says she's been invited to Tesla's house next week and asks to learn butler manners before then, adding that two-tiered security will reassure her. The man explains that if Mrs. Marie agrees, the guy asks how to speak in such cases. The girl is silent, and the woman explains that words are no longer like a butler and confirms this. A week later, a woman in armor with a mace and shield reports. The guy announces that the carriage is ready. Marie says that it's wonderful and thanks him. The woman says that Rhonda is already like a real butler, and Rhonda says that in this case she will not be shy about taking a woman to Tesla's house. The guy thanks her, explains that he checked the invitation because Tesla is a childhood friend of the girls, and says that no connection to the Greenwich house has been detected, so they can communicate freely. The girl says that the guy is also reliable as a bodyguard. The guy explains that even if something happens, he won't let anyone in. The woman says that although it is an invitation, it seems reckless to go out at such a dangerous time, and the man replies that no, The woman explains that it is precisely because it is dangerous that she is going out, since if she had locked herself in the house after the assassination attempt, it would have been a disgrace to the ducal house, and it is precisely at times like these that she must appear in public and prove that she is healthy. The boy listens. The guy says that Ms. Marie is so strong. Ms. Marie closes her eyes. The man says, "Let's go then," and the girl agrees. The guy says that's how it is. The girl says that means it's the same person. The girl says, The girl with the bow explains, yeah. The guy stands behind her. The guy says yes, and the girl turns to him, calling him a two-headed man. The guy asks how he can help, and the girl tells him there are rumors that he's also Mari's bodyguard. Yuta explains that he's both a bodyguard and a butler and is trying to earn his keep. The girl says take good care of Marie. The boy explains that the road to the castle is dangerous and that it's best not to take any risks, while the girl explains that they need to get there as quickly as possible, despite the dangers. The man explains that they must be careful and stick together to avoid attacks. The knight announces that they have arrived at their destination, and the girl says that she is ready for the next step. The guy says he really does look that unreliable. The girl asks if Tesla said that. The guy replies that yes, but if he seems unreliable, the enemy will relax, and that's a plus. The man says he thinks she probably didn't mean it that way. The guy says not to worry. He'll protect Ms. Marie properly. The guy says that if this was an attack, Amanda and the others would have already started fighting. The guy says something unexpected happened. He shouts Amanda's name. The guy says that if he can't use magic, he won't be able to win. He explains that if he doesn't use magic, he'll have to fight with a sword, and that will be very difficult. The boy and girl look forward in surprise. A young man watches a powerful explosion that destroys surrounding structures and sends debris flying in all directions. The guy says that if she dies now, he won't be able to forgive himself and asks her not to die. The girl says she doesn't want to die and wants to live. Rhonda tells him not to let go of her hand. Rhonda and the man fall off a cliff. A large boulder is depicted below. The guy announces the name of the magic Poison Magic shell. The guy and girl land on the ground. The guy says he's wondering if Ms. Marie is okay. Marie says poison magic is very convenient. The boy explains that this spell momentarily semi-solidifies the poison, creating a resilient shell, and that he came up with it while trying to save a cat falling off a cliff. The girl explains that it can be used for defense, but the effect only lasts 2 to 3 seconds, after which the guy says it's a poison ball called weakening poison and releases it, causing an explosion. The guy says he needs to capture this young lady alive and asks not to overdo it. Ron says it's been a while since they've seen each other. He says he's learned a lot and calls the man a poisonous mage. The man asks how Ron knows his name and says he's the one. The man asks if the poisonous dragon has a magic stone. The woman reports that for hundreds, almost 1,000 years, no masters of poison magic have appeared among non-magical systems. A man and a woman listen to her. The guy says that suddenly such a gloomy, unhappy guy like you possesses poisonous magic. The girl remains silent. The boy says what a wonderful fate and how can he not be delighted, and the girl's hand touches his face. The girl explains that this is poisonous magic, born of pain when his own father tried to kill him. The guy tells the girl to show him what she can do. The guy explains that the enemy's goal is to kidnap Lady Marie alive. The girl says it's best to lead the enemy away from Lady Marie and uses poison magic to delay him. The woman says that's excellent. The guy explains that the man uses lightning magic, calling it an enveloping discharge. The boy speaks quickly. The man attacks the boy with a sword, striking. The guy says that if he can't win, he will die and that he can't afford to die. The guy reports goosebumps and laughs, saying it's awesome. The man with the sword is surrounded by electricity and moves forward rapidly. The guy in the suit laughs and says it's awesome, then sharply dodges the attack, which leaves deep scratches on the walls. The guy reports that the enemy is using magic, a sword, and even a knife. The man explains that it's poisonous magic that kills with one touch and suggests that perhaps close combat should be avoided. The guy notices the knife and says it's a knife. The maid informs her that Marie von Astasia, daughter of the ducal house of Astasia, will die here. The girl asks why her. The man explains that the maid initially attacked Lady Marie, but an investigation revealed that the maid was merely following orders. An ordinary person couldn't have gotten to her. The guy says it's him, and at the same time a message about lightning magic appears with a lightning strike. Rhonda says he hit the bullseye. The guy breathes heavily and falls to the ground. The girl calls out to Rhonda. The guy says, "Ooh." The man says, The guy lies on the ground unconscious. The guy says he's a good guy for surviving such a blow. The man explains that he always makes those he kills remember his name before finishing them off, and asks them to listen carefully to his name. The guy says his name is Albrecht. Rhonda says she's been tasked with taking the girl alive and asks if she understands what that means. A man holds a knife to another man's throat and tells him to remember him well and go to the afterlife so his name will ring out in the afterlife. The girl screams Rhonda's name. The guy says he doesn't care what condition the girl is in, as long as she's alive. The man notices the girl and raises his hand. The man walks toward the girl. The guy says he can't use fire magic because it doesn't work for him. The girl says it's terrible. The boy kicks a fireball, causing it to explode. The girl launches several fireballs at the enemy. The woman says fire mace. She strikes with a fire weapon, causing a powerful explosion. The woman delivers a powerful blow, causing an explosion and flying debris. The scene depicts a powerful explosion with a release of fire and smoke. A woman shields herself from a fire attack. The guy says it's interesting. The woman steps on the ground. The man asks Marie if she's okay, and the girl calls for Amanda. Marie says she's fine, but she's worried about Rhonda. The man explains that while he's distracting the enemy, the girl should tell Rhonda this. He shows the magical healing stone and says it saved him too and that The girl says she understands. The guy says that he should have just lay there and not moved, and sighs. The man says that if Albrecht wants to die, he will help his name become famous in the afterlife. The man orders Albrecht to remember his name and die. Albrecht screams. The woman says she can't let him go, and the man replies that he has no intention of giving up. The man explains that his dream is to become stronger and defeat everyone who stands in his way. The woman says that she, too, won't give up and will fight to the end. The boy thanks Ms. Marie. The girl tells him it's a magical healing stone from Amanda. In the right panel, a guy says the attack is coming from Amanda. In the left panel, a man and a girl are fighting, their swords clashing. Amanda screams in pain as she fights a man who stabs her with a sword. The man calls out to Amanda. Amanda makes a pained noise as her weapon bursts into flames. The man stands with his sword in his hands. Rhonda says she understands. The guy explains that if the other guy is also a bodyguard, then it's worth making a deal. The woman says that if she encounters a powerful enemy, she will become a shield, and if she is dying, pay no attention, and the man explains that he cannot leave them to die before his eyes. The woman says that the man's job is to take Lady Marie away and think only about that, and the man explains that this is precisely why she. The girl says don't dare trample her resolve with cheap feelings. The man stands in front of her. The woman says that the priority is Ms. Marie's safety and orders them to leave her if necessary and go away. The guy explains that there is a collapsed cliff to the east, a river to the west, a steep cliff on the other bank that is impossible to climb, and a battle is taking place to the south. The only escape route is in the north. The voice says that there is a forest behind the bridge, and if you get to the forest, you can hide and escape. The guy says that the bridge is far away, and the man says that if they are noticed, then with his speed he can easily catch up. A guy asks a girl if she can run, and she says she can. The guy tells her that when he gives the signal, she needs to run to the bridge as fast as she can, and says there's no choice. Rhonda says he'll follow them and orders them not to look back, only forward, and to run no matter what happens. The girl replies that she understands. The man yells at Rhonda to stop and run already. The man says it's fire magic. The man says he's seen this move before and asks if he's out of ideas. The guy says, "Right now, Ms. Marie." Mari says that if they can't stop him, everyone will die and asks for help. Yuta says they need to retreat and take Mari to safety. The man below is struck by lightning. The boy raises his weapon, surrounded by electric shocks. The girl tells him that if he hits her, she will die. The boy says that no matter how fast he is, he can intercept him as he approaches. The man strikes his opponent with his sword. The girl screams for Mistress Marie. The guy says it's a deadly poison and stabs the man. The guy reports that he hit the target. The girl is breathing heavily. The man falls to the ground after the impact. A woman notices a sudden flash of lightning that destroys a wooden bridge. The woman says she can't believe this happened. The man says he's ready to fight and won't back down. The man explains he won't be defeated and will fight to the end. The girl says it's a bridge and puts her foot on the log. The guy says he definitely injected poison and doesn't understand why the enemy is moving. The man explains that if you're fighting a poison mage, it's logical to use a poison protection magic stone beforehand. The man says it's a shame. The guy says, "What do you mean he said that on purpose?" and expresses surprise. The man explains that it's poisonous magic that kills with one touch and advises that perhaps close combat should be avoided. The guy says that this is also part of the technology, and simultaneously snaps his fingers. Then the guy notices lightning striking a rock in the distance, causing it to collapse. The woman reports that a rock has fallen and blocked the path, explaining that they can't go any further now. The man explains that they'll have to find another route, saying that this complicates their task. The guy says that now they have nowhere to run and explains that he drove away the annoying fly. The guy says it's rude to drag it out any longer. The girl looks at him silently. The guy says let's finish it off nicely. The guy says he can't afford to lose. The man says he always finishes the job in 5 minutes and that anything longer is unsightly. The guy says there are 30 seconds left and praises the man for making him use it all the time. The man calls it a sound wave and says that's the end, Poison Mage. The guy says it's a poisonous dragon magic called Purple Dragon. The top right panel depicts a dragon absorbing lightning. In the upper right, a man announces that he is the dragon's poison, absorbing lightning, and says, "This is it." In the lower left, a man shouts and creates a magic circle. In the center, a long serpentine dragon is depicted. The guy explains that this is legendary magic that disappeared 1,000 years ago and calls it a poisonous dragon. Then a huge object is shown falling to the ground. The guy says there's a dungeon entrance downstairs and explains that you can get there by going down the stairs. The girl says the place looks dangerous. The girl tells Rond, and Rond says that he literally fell into the abyss. The guy says he'll go check it out, warning that it's dangerous there because of the collapse, and asks Mrs. Marie to stay here. Marie says it's fine and asks her to be careful. Albrecht says that even if he survived, there's no escape. The girl says he's a dangerous mercenary. Albrecht explains that if this is the Greenwich's doing, Madame Marie is in even greater danger. He says not to worry about your position and to divert the dragon's trajectory at the last moment. The guy says it sucks. The man says the guy is not cool at all. The guy looks confused. The text Lightning Island appears. The guy reports that he's out of magic and can't counterattack. The girl screams, "Rhonda." Rhonda says, "Ms. Marie." Rhonda throws the plate. Rhonda falls to the ground, surrounded by lightning. The guy expresses surprise. The guy says he can't believe this happened and says it was unexpected. The girl explains that they now need to act quickly and decisively. The guy says he's ready to help and support her in this. The right panel depicts a mushroom with water droplets. The middle panel shows the sun and trees. The left panel depicts a winged lizard perched on a branch. The guy says it hurts, then gets surprised and says he doesn't understand where he is. He asks where it is. The guy says it's Mrs. Marie. Then the guy makes a sound of surprise. The guy says to Mrs. Marie. The man says, "Thank God. The girl is safe," and reports that Ms. Marie has clothes. The girl says Rhonda. The man shouts, "Ouch." The guy points to Patchwork, who is stuck in a tree, and says he's there. The girl asks how he got there and says her skirt is in that condition. The girl explains that maybe they were somehow transported here, but the guy remains silent. The girl and the guy discuss what might have happened to them. The boy says that just as Albrecht's attack was about to hit, he thought he saw his belt pouch glow. The girl reaches for the belt pouch. The boy asks what was in the wallet. The girl says it was the magic stone he gave her and says she can't believe it. The guy says that even though the stone fell apart, it's definitely the magic stone he gave her. The girl says the stone worked and they ended up here. The man says the stone fell apart. The girl says that it is a magical teleportation stone, which even her father could not buy all of because of its rarity. And the guy says that it is so expensive. The man says he doesn't understand how he ended up in that suspicious stall, and the old man laughs. The girl laughs. The girl says Ron saved her again. The guy says he was saved this time, but when they return, Amanda will kill him. The girl replies that it's possible. Rhonda says they need to get out of the woods first. The guy says it's time to go back. The man warns them about something appearing behind them. The guy reports that Trent is dead. His health status is 0 out of 20. The guy says everything's fine. The girl explains that, as always, it'll be over in the blink of an eye. The guy says that if the enemy doesn't use healing magic, he'll be fine. The boy says that Ms. Marie is well-versed in monsters. Marie reveals that it is Trent, a plant monster known as the Forest Killer. The girl says it's impossible to tell where the tree ants are based on their habitat, and the boy says he's afraid it'll be difficult. The boy explains that tree ants are found all over the continent and says they'll have to move on. Rhonda says she'll go first and deal with the monsters, and advises Ms. Marie to follow him and try not to get hurt. Marie says she's relying on Rhonda. Rhonda asks Marie if she's okay, to which Marie replies that everything is fine. The guy says it's good there in the forest. The girl asks why. The guy explains that there aren't many monsters that gather in packs here. The girl says that Poison Magic's weakness in one versus many battles is its poor ability to deal with mass attacks. The boy explains that even if they encounter such enemies, there are plenty of hiding places in the forest. The guy says it's a strange fruit. The girl says it's a strange fruit. The guy says he wonders if the fruit is edible. The girl says the color is too dangerous. The guy ate a banana. The girl said it was a little sour, but juicy and perfectly edible. She offered Mrs. Marie a try, to which the guy said he'd pass. Mrs. Marie said yes, though. The guy explained that it's important to stay hydrated in the forest. The guy says there is no need to worry if there is poison. He will neutralize it immediately. Then says that he heard Mrs. Marie swallow several times, and suggests that she must be very thirsty. The girl remains silent and says okay, then starts eating a banana. The guy reveals he's using antidote magic, a weakening poison. The girl reacts to this. The girl says it's sweet and delicious. The guy asks Rhonda if he can do it again, and Rhonda says yes. The guy tells him it's antidote magic, a weakening poison, and Rhonda says, ugh. The guy says the poison is immediately neutralized, but it's still painful to eat, and the girl explains that it's bearable and nothing to worry about. The guy suggests trying something, and the girl says it's painless and expresses pleasure at the taste. The girl asks what the guy did, and the guy says that he used micropoison magic. The guy explains that microuncle dilutes poison, turning it into medicine, and in simpler terms, microuncle is like healing magic for poisons. The man says he can now eat without fear and asks for another one. The guy says the grass is tall and the view is poor. Then shhh. He notices a large insect approaching, which surprises the girl. Another guy tells Ms. Marie to move away. The girl reports that it's a poisonous wall. The man warns them to be careful, explaining that it's a soldier bee whose sting paralyzes with poison for several hours. The man says that poison is his element. The girl explains that the soldier bee is afraid of poisonous magic. The guy reports that it is a monster that attacks in packs. Ren reports that the most unwanted enemy has appeared and says GX. The guy says that the poison ball is called deadly poison. The girl informs Ron that the enemy is on the left. Ron agrees and attacks. The boy warns that the enemy on the right is also moving and strikes. The guy says there are more of them and curses. The guy and girl notice a large insect approaching. The guy asks if he can get through. He says there are too many enemies and he won't have time. The guy explains that using deadly poison for an instant kill requires time to prepare the magic. So he uses weakening poison, which is weaker but can be quickly released in bursts, which is more effective. The boy tells the bees to come closer, explaining that even this magic can't handle everyone, but he won't let them attack Ms. Marie. The man screams as the bees surround him. The girl reveals Ron's name. The guy says it's fatal. The boy says he won't lose to poison. The man says it's a poison ball with a weakening venom. The man apologizes and says a few bees got in there. The girl says she can too. The man reports several insects approaching. The girl says wind magic explosion, simultaneously creating a whirlwind that lifts leaves and directs them at flying insects. The image contains no text or speech from the characters. It shows several insects and a person caught in a whirlwind or vortex. The guy says that Ayeshka is very comfortable and calls Mrs. Marie amazing, and Marie is happy. The boy warns them about a soldier bee and explains that its sting paralyzes with venom for several hours. Then he says that if it stings, the venom will paralyze them immediately. The girl screams in pain as the bee stings her, and the boy calls for Mistress Marie. Maria announces the name of the wind spell, Bullet, as she uses it on the insect. The man asks Maria if she's okay and says he's neutralizing the poison. Maria tells Rhonda she can see his face. The girl breathes heavily. Yuta says he doesn't understand what's going on. The girl asks if the man is okay. The man explains that it's probably because of the microvenom he applied when they were eating fruit, and that the poison isn't working now. The guy says that's great then. Ray says that poisonous monsters are no longer scary, and Reiji says that he still doesn't want any more bee soldiers. It's nighttime, the fourth day of survival in the forest. A man asks Marie if she's cold. Marie looks around carefully. The guy says everything is fine. The girl remains silent. The guy says it's bearable during the day, but cold at night. The girl is silent. The man looks ahead. The boy says that this life is probably new to the girl. The girl asks what it is. The boy explains that she is the only daughter of the Duke of Astasia. She was probably looked after, and she never wanted for anything. The girl says that for 4 days, to satisfy their hunger and thirst, they ate poisonous fruits, were stung by bees, and slept without a bed right on the ground. The woman says there's no point in complaining. Kyo says there's no one around, so you can just dump everything you've been through on him. And since you haven't complained once, he asks you to stay strong. The girl says she is having fun. The guy says they don't know when they'll get out of the forest. The man asks if it's fun. The girl explains that she is with Rond because Rond says, "Can you really be serious?" The girl says she's never had such an experience before. Everything seems new. The guy laughs and says that Ms. Marie is really strong. Rhonda says stress is the enemy of beauty and asks that if anything happens, she should share everything. The man thanks Rhonda. A guy asks a girl to put this on her, and the girl says that it's still a little cold. The girl says thank you and says that she feels so warm, as if she had the warmth of a man on her back. The guy reports that there are no monsters nearby. Rhonda tells Rhonda he says yes, his heart beating fast. Then Rhonda makes a fist. Sakura says that if he doesn't want her to die, he should make sure she doesn't die. Sakura explains that if he doesn't want her to die, he should make sure she doesn't die. The guy says it's time to sleep, and the girl says she'll keep watch outside for a little while longer. The girl says it's good. A man reports the sound of a blow. A man stands in the forest opposite a large creature. The guy says that's how it should be and introduces himself. The man notices that the stars seem to be blurring and asks what it is. The girl is asleep. Several weeks passed while Rond and Marie wandered through the forest. Rond said that roasted meat was still the best and expressed pleasure at the taste. Marie said she had heard that death bear meat was delicious, and it was true, and also thanked her for possessing fire magic. The guy says he's surprised the girl has 2 types of magic. The girl explains that she does, but fire is just a starting level and a bonus. The guy says that thanks to it they eat fried meat and it's great. The girl says she's glad to be of service. The guy asks if he can get out of this forest and says that Mrs. Marie must be at her limit and needs to find a way out quickly. The guy says he found it. The man notices movement in the bushes. The man turns into a fiery bear. The text says he's in excellent health, HP 21 out of 21. The guy tells Mrs. Marie to move away and says that he has enough bear meat for now. The girl agrees. The guy says that the poison ball is called deadly poison. The image shows a fire bear with multiple wounds and injuries, covered in leaves and black spots. The text states that the fire bear is dead, with a health status of 0 out of 21. The boy asks Marie if she heard voices along with the monster's roar. Marie repeats the word voice. The boy looks forward. The girl says she definitely hears something. The guy explains that she can't make out what they're saying, but they're human voices. The guy says they'll go check it out. The woman reports that the sound is coming from above and is definitely human voices. The man says that Mrs. Marie should be careful, as they don't know if these people are friendly. The guy says, "What if it's another mercenary like Albrecht?" The girl says this is the first contact with people in a week and they can't miss the chance. The guy says that Mrs. Marie looks worn out and it's worth taking a risk and trying to make contact. The guy says to hide here until he checks if it's safe. The girl says she'll go too. The guy says okay, let's go. A woman says it hurts when a large animal steps on her. The boy says the girl is being attacked. He explains that whether she's friendly or not, he needs to help her now. The boy thinks that from this position, the poison ball could hit the girl if the poison spreads. The guy says it's too far to make direct contact. The guy says he'll have to take a risk and fire a poison ball, addressing the one who's not making it. Maria uses wind magic called Bullet, striking the beast. The boy turns to Maria. The beast tries to rise and roars. The girl tells Rhonda what's next. Rhonda says that's exactly it. The man attacks with a poison ball called Deadly Venom. The top right panel reports that the armored bear is dead. Its health is 0 out of 21. In the bottom right, A guy asks a girl if she's saying the monster has been killed and that there's no need to be afraid anymore. The girl is trembling. In the bottom left, a man is lying on the ground. The boy and girl express surprise. The man says it's true. The elf says yes, then thanks. Kit Nar Auda Sizelfin Gazeria announces that her name is Kit Nar Auda Sizelfin Gazeria and thanks her for saving her from a dangerous situation. The guy asks Cute Nara. The girl explains that it's too long and asks to just call her Cute. The guy asks Cute, is that really her? The girl confirms that she is an elf. The girl says that it is such an honor to meet an elf in the forest. And the elf explains that he feels awkward when people say that and asks if they are human. Rhonda says it's unclear who Cute's man is, and it's best not to reveal Ms. Marie's identity. Rhonda says it's him and this is Marie. He explains that they were supposedly adventurers, but they fell into some kind of trap and ended up in this forest. The elf says Marie's face has suddenly turned red and asks what's wrong. The guy asks if Marie is really okay and if she's hot. Marie says everything's fine. The girl says that Ron suddenly called her by her first name without ceremony and was always so polite, talking as if they were in love. The girl thanks Cute. The elf says she did something and asks a question. The girl replies that elf ears really are that long. The boy says he knew of the existence of elves, but seeing them is rare, and even high-ranking officials in the kingdom don't know where the elves live. The elf explains that elves rarely leave their lands. The guy asks Kuda why the monster attacked her. Kuda replies, well, sort of. The girl behind him looks confused. The boy asks the girl if she'll tell him her story. The girl says yes and explains that the elves, hunt in the village of the World Tree. The girl says that elves are called hunters of the World Tree, right? And the elf explains that they believe that you only become an adult if you can hunt alone. The girl reports that children younger than her have already been recognized as hunters of the World Tree, but she has never yet hunted game on her own. The boy tells me that the younger kids are laughing at me, and the man explains that the adults are looking at me coldly too. Rond understands Cute's feelings and says that he, too, was a failure in his family. Cute turns to Rond. The boy says he's a loser too, and the girl says she wants to become a World Tree hunter sooner. The girl explains that she's decided not to return to the village until she learns to hunt alone. The elf says she's truly a failure and was attacked when she stepped outside the protective barrier. The man says it's not true. The girl says that Cute's courage is impressive. The man thanks Marie for saving her and asks if he can help with anything. The girl asks if it's true that elves are masters of the forest, to which the man replies that it is. Marie says thank you. The guy says then teach them how to get out of this forest. The elf says that if that's all there is to it, then walking through the forest with an elf guide is the best guide, and he says he will lead them. The man and girl rejoice. The elf tells Rhonda-san to ask anything about the forest, and Rhonda thanks Cute and says that she is in his debt. The guy says he wanted to go there, but the woman explains that he can't because it's deeper into the forest. The girl says something's wrong. The elf calls Rhonda and Marie here, then jumps and swings on a vine, after which she lands on a mushroom. The guy says that Cute is too fast and Marie will get tired, but Cute asks her to go slower. Marie says she can handle it and can keep up with their pace. The girl suggests that maybe that's enough for today, and the guy sighs. The girl says it's true what they say. There are fish in the water and an elf in the forest. The man asks how much longer until they reach the forest's edge. The elf explains that at this rate they'll be out in 2 days. The man says great, the girl saved them. The guy says they've gone so deep. The guy says that if they hadn't met Cute, he doesn't know what would have happened to them, and offers the girl a drink of water. The girl thanks him and says she'll take it. The elf asks Marie if she is tired, and Marie replies that she will rest a little and then everything will be fine. The girl explains that humans aren't used to walking through the forest, unlike elves, and suggests they take a slow rest. The elf asks the spirits for help. The boy listens. The girl says it's perfume. The woman throws something aside. A small object glitters on the woman's hand. The spirit of the earth, Rag Titan, tells the girl that the spirits will help a little longer. The elf talks about the earth. The boy and girl look on in surprise. On the left side, a sprout and roots are shown growing out of the earth. The guy explains that this place is called Dragon's Nest, and that it's a great place to relax. The girl says it looks very cozy and wants to try lying in a hammock. The girl says it's wonderful and calls it a true fantasy. Not for nothing is it an elf. The guy asks if this is the power of magic. The girl says she simply asked for spirits. The guy says he can't see spirits at all. The girl explains that maybe only elves can see them. The girl explains that this is the art of spirits, saying she's seeing it for the first time. The boy asks if other elves can do the same as Cute. The elf replies that they can and do it much better than her. The man says that Felix especially has magical talent on another level. The guy asks Kuda if she wants to fight real monsters and win. Kuda says of course. She wants to defeat an armored bear that even the villagers can't handle, and proudly bring home. The guy says the girl's words are rather bloodthirsty, but his desire to become stronger is understandable. The girl says she wants to become strong. The man says that starting tomorrow they won't avoid monsters, but fight them. The girl agrees and asks him to be her teacher. The man explains that the girl seems unsure of her magic, but the key to magic is how to use it. The girl wonders what kind of magic she has. The elf says and that's how it should be to start with, and the girl explains that it's true. If you understand that you can think about it, you can come up with something brilliant. The man says it's a trap and warns that if anyone falls, they will die. The woman says it's a trap and explains that it was made to hunt monsters. The girl says she woke up. The guy says that the interlocutor can control the earth to some extent. The elf announces that the attack will proceed as follows, after which a sharp stone spike suddenly erupts from the ground. The boy and girl watch the scene unfold. The boy says that Cute seems to be strong in earth magic, and the girl confirms this. The girl explains that the earth spear is interesting, but it appears slowly, making it easy to dodge. The girl demonstrates that she can also use magic in this way. A boy and a girl discuss how a piece of earth with stones looks powerful, but the concentration required to prepare it takes longer than a spear, even though earth magic is fast. The woman explains that earth magic takes time to activate. The elf says yes. The man says that Cute is quite strong. Isn't she? The woman is surprised. The man denies it. The woman says, "Come on, little bear." The bear growls. The woman says she's the most beautiful elf. The elf says to listen to her name until the end, while the armored bear runs. The elf asks the spirits for help, then throws a small glowing creature toward the large creature. The armored creature attempts to grab the glowing creature. The elf speaks about the earth and orders to stretch out. The man lets out a loud roar as the spikes wrap around and pierce his body. The girl says, "Pa!" The armored man quickly approaches the girl. The guy is talking about the land. In the upper right corner, a large mushroom is depicted. In the right center, a girl is overjoyed and says she did it, then shouts, "Hooray!" In the left center, a girl stands with her back to Cute and says that it's amazing. In the lower left corner, a guy and a girl approvingly say that it's perfect. In the very lower left corner, the elf reports that Cute can already become a hunter of the world tree. The girl laughs and thanks. The elf explains that elves live in this forest, and the boy says that he is here for the first time and wants to learn more about their life. The guy says it's a forest of delusions. The girl says she's never heard of anything like this, and the elf says that all elves call this forest exactly that way. The woman says that if this is the Ganner forest, you cannot make a mistake with the exit route, and if you choose the wrong one, you will end up in the Marquise of Edouard. The guy says that Edouard is in the earth. The girl nods. The boy asks Cute if the elves in her village know more about the human lands than she does, and concludes that the path Cute knows isn't necessarily safe. Cute says she only knows one way to the human lands, but many elves know much more. The boy says that he would then like to know. The girl tells Kuda that she heard that the elves are extremely distrustful of humans and that if they approach the village, they might be attacked. Kuda explains that this is precisely the case. The elf says that it's possible. The guy asks if Marie can handle it alone and says that if only Rhonda goes, everything might be okay. The elf says that the Earth Fortress, created with the help of spirits, is very strong. Cute reports that earth magic is more suitable for defense and support, and that ordinary monsters won't be able to penetrate it. The elf says learning to use her skills was helpful, and now, in her opinion, the villagers recognize her. The man says the village is visible from here. The elf responds with surprise. The man tells the name of the village Nar. The guy tells Cute that they need to go to the village quickly. Cute agrees. The elf says that it can't be that such a beautiful village would be attacked. And the guy says that it's terrible and asks if it's a monster attack. The elf says it's most likely the work of a demonic bear. The boy reports that this monstrous bear has recently appeared in the forest and asks if it's a demonic bear. The elf explains that because of this demonic bear, the bear monsters in the forest have become more aggressive. The guy says he just left the village and is already dragging people here, adding that this is happening at such and such a time. The three guys say the people should leave and not dare enter their lands. The elf says she got the armored bear's head on her own thanks to Ron's instructions, and Ron asks her to wait, explaining that he saved her life. The boy explains that it's the head of an armored bear and asks if it's really Cute herself. The man says that Cute is the elder's daughter. The man says that Cute is the elder's daughter and brought the people to the village anyway, asking what she was thinking and saying that. The guy says that Cute is his sweet daughter. The man confirms that this is true. The guy says he didn't touch her, otherwise he'll kill him. The man says, of course not. A guy says he has a girlfriend. The man says, The guy says he missed his girlfriend, and the girl asks him to forgive her for leaving without asking. The boy is silent. The man asks the girl if she's hurt or hungry. The girl says the village is fine. The guy says, and the man says that the guy has a girlfriend and he calmed down after hearing this. Owl says that his name will be Owl in your opinion and asks them to call him that, but warns that if they call him father-in-law, he will kill them, of course. The man remains silent. The boy reports that the appearance of a man made everyone wary, and the man explains that the village suffered from a monster attack. The guy says that first they will move to a house on the outskirts of the village, and asks if the girl has another companion so that he can invite her too, and then they will listen to her story. In the right panel, a man explains that there's a tree house in the forest that serves as shelter and a place to rest. In the left panel, the man explains that the tree house is made of wood and is located on a hill, with ladders leading up to it. Faye says it's clear and he knows a lot. The man says he just knows where they should go and where they shouldn't. The boy and girl listen. Jean informs that if you go to an undesirable place, trouble awaits on the return journey, and Gilgamesh explains that the kingdom is not united. The boy explains that when the bear monsters become more aggressive, a demon bear is behind it, and as guardians of the forest, they cannot ignore it. The man explains his offer to show the safe way out of the forest if they help defeat the demon bear. The guy stands with his back turned. The elf says that his magic is non-magical, right? The man with the eye patch explains this with his arms crossed. The boy is silent. The girl says it's surprising that elves would ask a human for help. The man explains that they wouldn't ask a normal person for help. The guy explains that normally, as soon as Cute brought a person in, he would be riddled with bullets, and asks if the other guy knows why that didn't happen. Rhonda says he's blessed by the spirits. The boy asks about spirits. The man explains that since ancient times, those who wield non-magical magic have been loved by the spirits, and that such people are special to the elves. The man explains that, upon seeing the spirits around the boy, the villagers decided he was not a bad person. The boy asks about Cute. Marie says she thought Rond would be okay, and the elf apologizes for leaving Marie alone. Marie says that if that's the case, then let's take Owl's offer and help with the monsters. The guy says it's dangerous and he'll go alone. The girl says she doesn't want to wait alone anymore and will go too. The guy explains that they don't know what kind of monsters will be there and asks the girl if she remembers how the soldier bees broke through. The girl says that Poison Magic's weakness is in crowd control battles and asks if her wind magic wouldn't be useful. The girl asks how the monster hunt will go. Wall remains silent. Rond explains that to protect the village and hunt, they split into teams of 3 or 4 elves, hunters and defenders, and says that he wants Rond and his team to join the hunters. The boy remains silent. The girl says she understands. The man explains that it will be difficult to work smoothly with the elves right away and suggests taking a position in a free squad. The guy informs them that Zill's team will soon be leaving as a second group. The man explains that this is a good time to follow them halfway and ask Zill about the monsters. The guy says it's nice to meet you. A woman stands with her hands on her hips. A boy says they don't need people. A man stands with his arms crossed. The names Zill, Nar, and Migroa are listed in the background. A woman reports that bear monsters have become incredibly strong and warns people to be careful. The boy asks if he can go that way and watch, as he wants to understand how they fight monsters. The man asks if that's enough and says they're heading that way. The guy says to do what they want. The elf says that Zill is not cute at all, and the girl and the guy say that he could at least tell the minimum. The boy says it's surprising that Owl sent Cute to the hunting party and orders Cute to join Rhonda's team and support them. The woman says that Dad is an elder and doesn't single out his family. The woman says he must be terribly worried right now. Clot asks if he's okay and says he's worried, and Clot is very worried. The woman remains silent. The girl says that they need to deal with the monsters as soon as possible so that he can calm down, and the guy agrees. The elf reports that it looks like Zill and his team have already encountered the monsters, and the boy urges them to continue. Below left, a girl and boy listen. A scream of "Ra." The boy says these creatures are goblins and explains that they are very strong and dangerous. The girl explains that goblins live in the forest and attack travelers. The man says they need to be careful and prepare for battle. The guy says the 3 armored bears are huge and asks if they can handle them. The elf says they can handle them. The elf casts a wind spell. The boy delivers a powerful blow, breaking the opponent's defense. The girl reports that her wind blast is significantly stronger than his. The girl says water, and the elf says top. The large beast spews a stream of water, knocking down several opponents. The man says he can't afford to lose. The man says he's not going to give up. There are no speech bubbles or text in the image, and the characters don't speak or communicate anything. A man in a spacesuit is trying to breathe underwater, bubbles coming out of his helmet. A small creature is floating near him. The bear growls. The man says we need to move forward. An orc tells a man to watch the elves fight. The orc summons fire, which causes an explosion. In the foreground, a man in a suit with a pig mask performs a swirling motion with fire, creating a vortex of flame. Below, a man in a suit with a pig mask lies on the ground, surrounded by smoke and fire. The boy explains that they can't afford to lose